Marriage, business, and burnout. Let's talk about the lessons that I have learned 1 year on from my separation. If you're new here, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Sheena Shui. I'm a burnout therapist and business mentor, and I help women create lives, businesses, things that they love that truly align with who they are and what they do without the burnout. So let's get into the lessons because this one's a big one. A lot of you have seen my journey from, becoming a mum to becoming a second time mum to then separating and now 1 year on from separation. And I haven't really spoken too much about it because obviously, I want to respect my kid's dad, and I had a couple of emotional moments where that leaked out. And at the end of the day, this person is still the father to my children, and so it's hard to talk about something that involves someone without, putting them down or wording it in a way that doesn't put them down. So I've been really mindful of trying not to do that, even though for those of you following me on Instagram, I had a couple of glitches. I had a couple of moments where it all hit really, really hard and it came out in certain ways. That's life. It kind of happens. Like if you're being a real, raw, authentic person, you're going to, it's hard to show up when those really big things are happening. So yes, there is that. And again, another thing that I talk about, and Brené Brown talks about this as well, obviously, is talking from a scar, not a wound. And I think sometimes with these really big things in life, like grief, like marriage, like parenthood, these are things that are going to come in ebbs and flows where they're either a wound or a scar. And just when you think it's a scar, it's a wound again. Something just re-injures that or pulls it apart a little bit more. And it's really normal. But I want to talk about at least some lessons that can be applicable in business that can help all of us grow through this. So let's get into that. So lessons from marriage, because marriage, who you pick to do life with is going to dramatically affect your business, and your business is going to put a huge emphasis on your marriage. It's a vice versa kind of a thing. So anyone who's become a parent knows that, or would, if they don't know it, they're going to experience it or have experienced it, that having children emphasizes what's already there in the relationship. So if there's some really good parts of the relationship, it emphasizes that. If there's some really not solid parts of the relationship, there's a communication thing, a love language thing, an attachment issue. You have different attachment styles. Let me tell you, having kids is going to emphasize that, but having a business is also going to emphasize that. And I always say this, having kids and having a business is the biggest personal development thing you will ever do in your life. And so, there's that saying, friends for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. I absolutely think that is true for any relationship that you have. I absolutely believe that you can have someone and you think that they're a lifetime person when they're actually a season person or a reason person. Now that could be in your friendships, your marriage, your business partnerships, because again, business partnerships are very similar. And I'm talking about marriage in this episode, but a lot of what I'm talking about today is very applicable to your parents, to your close friends, because everyone you surround yourself with and see yourself regularly, business partners, business associates, co-workers, anyone that you're around on a very regular basis is going to bring out parts of you. Now, sometimes when you first are with someone, they bring out the best in you. Then you might have a season when they bring out the worst in you, but you come back to center and you can bring out the best and the worst in each other. Because let's get real about it, is that if you're with someone 24/7, or when you're starting to be around someone a lot, whether it's a business partner, a marriage, whatever, that person is going to see the worst of you. They're your safe person. It's very similar to how kids will act the worst with their parents, because we're their safe people. They don't have to be well behaved at school, well behaved with this. They can come home and let it all out. Very similar to your nearest and dearest. But it's going to have a major impact on how you feel. These people have huge impact in your marriage. Your marriage is like your core base that you come back to. This is something that you have outside of your business. And your marriage is the place to practice some of your values. So again, if you don't know what core values are, you can check out our free core values exercise inside our free resource library. Of course, working with me, I'll do your values for you. We'll figure it out. Or you can go back to the episode Core Values on this podcast, and it's all about that. Because a lot of people think they know their core values, or I value X. No. Your core values are things like love, freedom, authenticity, integrity. These are the things that are the most important traits that you want to have as a human being, and that you expect not just from yourself, but from people who interact with you. And it's a very different way of looking at values and making sure you get that clear. Now, your values are really who you are, not your business, not your marriage, not all those titles. Anything that's a title is your ego. And your ego is a very dangerous thing, because it drives you towards your desires, which is great, but it also is the thing that you get protective about. It brings out the worst in you, right? So being a wife is a title. Being a business owner is a title. But how you do those things is your values. And so your marriage is where you get to play out your values. So if one of your values is freedom or love or integrity, that is the place you come back to and you live that out and you come back to center. It is a place where whatever is happening in the outside world doesn't matter. You come back. And so obviously, when a marriage is rocky, it's going to affect your business, or sometimes your business is going to develop you so much as a person that the person that you married isn't ready for that. Because it's almost like when one person goes to therapy and the other one doesn't. That's a very dangerous place, because one person is getting all this insight, all this knowledge, all this wisdom about why they do the things they do and why this and why that, and the other one's not. And they're not going to match each other's level of self-awareness anymore, which will affect the relationship. Now, when one person gets into business and the other one doesn't, same thing again. If you get into business, you are showing up bolder, braver, badder than you have ever been. You're showing up as like a bigger version of you. And sometimes your partner is going to go, yes, I love this. I can take a step back. Now, all of a sudden that's an issue, because you go, hey, I don't want you to step back. I want you to step forward with me. And they're like, no, I've been holding the fort for so long. Now that you're stepping up, step up. And it changes the dynamic, right? Or maybe you're doing your business, but that means you're stepping back from contributing to the finances. So you're stepping up as a bigger, bolder version of you, but you're not contributing to the household finances. That can change the dynamic. Or the other way, all of a sudden you're earning twice as much as your partner. That can change the dynamic. There are so many things about business that are going to affect your marriage. And the thing is that business forces you to become the best version of yourself, because your business is you. It is you on a platter. It is your essence, your being, your heart, your soul. And so it's going to bring all of the shit to the surface, all of the unconscious stuff, all the big bad stuff to the surface. And that person who you chose is, you're changing so fast, so big, so dramatically because of the big things you're having to do in your business, like showing up on social media or making a big proposal or making a huge financial investment, taking big risks and not knowing how they're going to pay off, right? Or maybe you're being a leader, you're hiring employees and you're leading and you're doing all these things. Or maybe you're getting published, right? Maybe you're getting exposure where you're all of a sudden now you're getting publications, you're on TV, you're on podcasts, you're on magazines, right? Like that's something that I've loved, but it's difficult for a partner if you've grown through different stages together. And like any stage, some people make it, there's so many phases and stages of life that of course you're going to survive some in marriage and not. Some marriages survive having kids, some don't. Some marriages survive infidelity, some don't. Some get stronger through those things, some don't. Same is true for starting and growing and succeeding in business. Do not underestimate the effect that it has on you as a person and therefore your marriage. But also obviously the burnout that comes from you want to be the biggest version of yourself, but maybe you're holding back. Maybe you're playing small and your business is suffering because of it. So it's like you're showing up, but you're not, and you're showing up and it feels awful. And that kind of not being the biggest version of yourself can burn you out because you're doing lots of actions that aren't paying off. And that feels so inauthentic to the soul that it wears away at you. But when you dig deeper, like when you work with a therapist, such as myself, or a business mentor, and you get to, okay, let's start with the business. What's not working? Okay, you're playing small. Why are you playing small? Oh, because I don't want my partner to feel XYZ. Or I notice whenever I do something, my partner X, or my partner sabotages me. They might even not recognize that they are sabotaging you. Yeah? So these are some of the lessons that I've learned in my own journey, but also from, being a therapist. I was a couples counselor for a few years in the business as well. I don't do as much couples work, but I do it here and there. And, through my own trials and tribulations and watching, mentoring so many business women, this is a really hard thing we have to talk about, but we have to talk about it. Yeah? And so if you're having relationship issues while your business is thriving, remember that there may be a link to that and you need to unpack that. And so that's why it's really important. If you've never been to couples therapy, try it out if you can. See how it can benefit you. Because I think a lot of people associate therapy with fixing things, broken things, when that is not the case. It's actually personal development. So why not work on your relationship to get it to the best point and to see what's coming up? Yeah. And so, I just, my own business journey really affected my marriage in ways, but also my marriage affected my business, and I was playing small. And I'm not going to get into the reasons why. I don't want to go too deep because, again, like I mentioned at the start of this episode, that's the father of my kids, and so I'm going to be respectful in that way. But I guess what I want to share is, like, I've also started and exited a company since my separation in this year, right? And this plays into what I was saying is, like, a marriage can be for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And it could have started off as a really good thing. Maybe someone brought out the best in you, but they don't do that anymore. But you're living in the past. So my recent business that I've exited, same thing again. It helped me survive my separation. It helped me, give me something to throw myself into, to get excited about. It helped me become bigger and better and more bold and learn so much and do so much until it didn't. And so just because the trajectory of something starts strong doesn't always mean it's going to stay that way. And it's so much better for you to see it for what it is early on than what it's not. But also, if you're listening to this and you're going, oh my God, I'm relating to this, and oh my God, I don't know if my marriage is going to survive this, and oh my gosh, is my marriage, sabotaging my business, or is my business sabotaging my marriage, and oh my God, I'm relating to too much of this. Remember that sometimes it takes a catalyst to fix something. So I want to tell you something about couples counseling that I do find to be true for couples who actually go. And I don't want to scare you with it, but I want to be really real about it, right? That it either makes a couple or breaks a couple. And often people who quit relationship counseling early, it's because they can feel that. What I mean by that is when you go to couples counseling, it's going to bring up all the shit in your relationship, of course, all the shit within yourself as well, of course. But by sifting through that, it can either make your relationship so much more solid, so much more stronger, because you're pushing through those limiting things that have held you back from having a bigger, better, bolder relationship. Or it's going to end up that maybe one person is willing to go to the edge and face their fears and the other one isn't. Maybe one person's willing to do the work and the other one isn't. Maybe one person already checked out a long time ago but was just hanging on for the ride out of loyalty, whatever. They didn't know how to say, I'm done, so they just stuck around. So this is the thing, is that your business might do the same. It might make or break your relationship. You might become the biggest, best version of you, and your partner goes, oh my gosh, this is inspiring. I want to step up. Or they might step back and go, this is making me feel insecure. This is bringing up stuff for me. You're earning so much more than me now. People know you now. Look how big and bold you are. And that doesn't mean that that person's not right for you or it's not going to work out, but it does mean that you need to have that big conversation. So you can see how if you don't have these conversations and you live in fantasy land, it's going to burn you out. So often when people would come to me with anxiety and burnout, I would often say that it's coming from 3 places. Right? Usually a combination of the 3. It's either coming from your internal stuff, your relationship and workplace, or the societal pressures. There's 3 levels to mental health: individual, relationships and workplace, like your, social, and then the societal stuff. But often, if people come to me and they're like, Sheena, I eat right, I exercise, I have a great life, I don't know what I need to be anxious about. And I go, how's your relationship? oh, da, da, da. And then you dig deeper and they go, I actually don't know if they love me or if I love them. If you don't know that, of course you're going to feel anxious, because that's not going to feel like the safe, secure space that it should. Yeah? And so it's amazing how many people don't want to go there out of fear, right? But fear is the most amazing place to find the most amazing things inside of you. So I want you to remember that whether it's your marriage and business, whether it's a business partnership, whether it's your mum, your parents, your in-laws, your friends, your business is going to make you the best version of yourself, and that's going to bring up stuff for other people. And that's not your problem. That's their shit. What's important is that you be brave enough to keep going anyway. You be brave enough to go, I'm becoming the best version of myself, and I'm going to meet some amazing, incredible people along the way. But that also means I'm going to have to let some people go. For some of you, that's going to be your marriage. For some of you, your marriage is going to get even stronger because you're going to face the fear. You're going to face the insecurities. You're going to face the attachment stuff coming up, the love language stuff coming up, right? If somebody feels like they're a gift giver, but you're the one giving gifts because you're the earner now, all of that stuff is going to come up. And you got to work through it. You got to give it the chance. You got to work. You got to give yourself that chance. So I hope that was clear for you, and I hope that that's making sense for you and giving you a new insight into whether, giving you some food for thought about, is my relationship and my business aligning? Am I aligning to my business? Am I aligning to my relationship? Am I aligning to my marriage? Is this all coming together? And remember, if you want to get more alignment, if you want to get more clarity, you're more than welcome to work with us, right? This is why, if you're in business, I don't care if you don't work with me. This isn't about me. As much as I'd love for you to come inside the 20-Hour Business Week Academy where you get to work with me, or Business Without Burnout, where we build a business. I'm going to teach you your ideal clients, your aligned offers. Again, we have our 3-day aligned offers challenge coming right this week. You've got to be in our membership to get in. Join now. It's in there. But regardless of whether you work with me, whether you're in our programs, whether you do our alignment challenge, this is why, if you're a business owner, if you want to be a leader, if you want to step into the biggest version of you, you've got to work with a therapist, not some bullshit life coach, not some NLP bullshit, someone who knows the intricacies of bringing this out of you, of making sure we get your neural networks working to bring this out of you, so I can bring this out of your nervous system, so I can use the law of attraction to actually attract what you want in this life. That only comes from working with someone who's super aligned with you and brings the alignment back to you. So again, I hope you got something out of this episode. I know that you did. And I know that someone you know needs to hear this. So don't forget to share this in your stories so they can hear it, because maybe you don't want to share it with them, right? You don't want to go, hey, I know that your husband is not supportive of you, so I don't want to share this with you directly, but I'll share it in my stories and hope that you give it a listen, right? So maybe it's that. But don't forget, we are creating aligned offers this week inside the membership, if you're listening at the time of this recording. And it's not just about what your services or offers are if you're a business owner, but it's what your message is. It's what your story is. It's aligning with who you are now. So don't forget to check that out. I can't wait to share that with you. Thank you for being here. for another episode of the 4Q podcast, but I might be changing the name of the podcast real soon. So thank you again for being here as part of the podcast. Be kind to yourself this week. Have a wonderful week, wonderful day, and I will see you in the next episode of the podcast. Bye for now.